movie fans. I'm Crystal Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. An early happy Thanksgiving, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us a part of your day.
We also have joining us our AMC Movie News Production Manager, Mr. Dennison.
Yeah, also happy early Thanksgiving. And also want to welcome Chris Lee back. She's been gone too long.
You stole my thunder, but yeah, I guess we're pretty happy that Chris Lee's back.
Thanks, Dennis. We also have joining us the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? Mr. John Schnepp.
Hey, guys. Welcome back, Chris Lee. What? Happy birthday to you.
That's right. There was a birthday past. So many things have happened since Chris Lee's gone. Chris Lee is back. And hey, before we get into the news, also just want to make sure everybody knows this is obviously the upcoming Thanksgiving weekend. Today's our last show until Monday, so there will be no AMC Movie Talk on Thursday or Friday. No mailbag on Saturday, Sunday. We are taking the weekend off. We hope you do too, and you have a great time. Just in time for Chris Lee's return, and she gets another break.
Well, we're going to start off our all-mailbag edition with this. David Keith writes, "Hey guys, all these Joker questions in recent weeks got me thinking. I don't want Joker right now, but if and when the Joker does appear, since Batman is older, we would need an older Joker. What about a Willem Dafoe as the Joker?"
You know, it's funny. This image started going around about with Willem Dafoe as the Joker, which we've got up here on the screen that you can see back here behind us here. This image started going around. It's a really great image. I mean, super image. But once again, just because, you know, some people started circulating this picture of Billy Zane with a shaved head, and everybody's like, that's got to be Lex Luthor. And, you know, we see a picture circulate, everything. But there's some precedence here, right? Dafoe's an incredible actor. Could he do a great Joker? Possibly. Now, some people will poo-poo the idea because it's like, look, he's already been kind of the crazy villain as the Goblin in Spider-Man. But I don't see how the fact that an actor has experience in a particular type of role is a bad thing. My only thought is, I didn't think Dafoe did a particularly good job as Goblin in the first one, and that kind of makes me hedge my bet against him being a Joker in a Batman film. The other thing about that is this, is that, yeah, we are going to need a slightly older Joker, like older than Heath Ledger was, clearly. But I think you still want him age appropriate to Batman. I'm thinking 40s, not 60s. So that's just me. Look, I wouldn't complain if they said Willem Dafoe was going to be a Joker in an upcoming Batman film. Wouldn't complain. Just wouldn't be my first choice. Schnepp, what do you think?
Well, honestly, I wanted Willem Dafoe back when they were making Batman. I remember as a kid reading about it, and I was like, he'd be great. And then they picked Jack Nicholson, who was awesome. Right. But Willem Dafoe would have been great as a Joker. I honestly think it would be kind of cool. Like, I know this doesn't go along with the storyline, but, you know, to give Batman a young Joker versus an old Batman. Ooh. I mean, you're rebooting it. Why not have, like, a 22-year-old anarchist chaos guy, you know, who's like kind of a mix between the original Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, somewhere in the middle. I think that could be cool.
That could be cool. Dennis?
I think Dafoe has the look and the feel, the creepy feel of it. I actually would be a little turned off that he's already been the Green Goblin, which is essentially Spider-Man's Joker.
Right.
So, but I think he could do a pretty decent job, especially because he's just so, he does that creepy thing just so well.
He really does.
And he has the look as well. If we went younger, I've been saying Benedict Cumberbatch as the Joker. He has that long face. Right. Yep. And he has this, if you ever watch Sherlock, even though he's technically the hero of that TV series, he has this really unnerving smirk and smile to him.
Yeah.
That you just like, there's something wrong with this guy.
And his voice, you can get that low register, like that's super, like he's creepy. Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Right, guys?
Yeah, that's another name that's come up a lot. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who would fit in that bucket of 10 names you could put together that none of us would argue. Nobody jumps out to me right now as the obvious choice to play Joker for Joker. But, I mean, you put guys like Cumberbatch in there. You put guys like Hiddleston. And I think there are a number of other names that we've talked about before on the show. You could put in that bucket that if they chose them, I'd be totally happy with it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
If I threw out my Joker name, you guys would all kick me off the show.
No,
so
give us your Joker name.
Really
What's your Joker
You guys
name?
are all going to laugh, but I would love to see Edward Norton play the Joker.
Why on earth would we laugh at that?
That's
a great one.
I love Edward Norton.
All right, cool. Because
Yeah.
I think he's got the perfect creepy, and I go back to American History X all the time, and he's so evilly good that I think he would be an awesome Joker.
I think that's a good.
That's a
good
fine
choice.
pick.
Carlos Martinez writes, greetings and salutations, sons and daughters of AMC. Love the show. I'm hooked on it. My question is about a new updated Spartacus film. I was watching the Starz TV series of the same name and got to thinking that a new Spartacus movie would be great since the last major Spartacus film was in 1960. Would you guys be open to a new Spartacus movie? Why or why not? Thanks and keep up the good work.
The original Spartacus with Kirk Douglas is one of my all-time favorite films. I can watch that film 5-6 times a year. There's something just so visceral and so great about it. The pacing of the film. It is that great classic Hollywood. And I was thinking about it a few months ago. Why is it hold such a special place in my heart? And I think one of the main reasons for me is the ending of the film. You know, that legendary, I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus, right? Because I was talking with Chris Lee actually a while ago, and we were talking about Sons of Anarchy. My two favorite shows on TV right now, number one is Supernatural, number two, Sons of Anarchy. And I said the reason Sons of Anarchy works for me, and the reason why Supernatural works so well for me, there's something about movies and TV shows where a couple or a group of men have an unbreakable brotherhood. You know what I'm talking about? And like in Supernatural, you see that undying between two literal brothers in the show, but like this unbreakable bro bond between them. And Sons of Anarchy, unbreakable bro bond. You go to Spartacus, you know, you see this huge army of men that will die for each other. You know, and that whole scene, if you don't get chills up your spine at the end of Spartacus when everybody starts standing up saying, I'm Spartacus, knowing it means they're all going to get crucified. Yeah. I'm Spartacus, then there's something wrong with you if you don't get chills at that. It reminds me a lot of Backdraft too, right? That great end scene in Backdraft where Kurt Russell is holding on to the killer, but the killer was a fireman with him. So screw everything else. If you go, I go. That was the line. You go, I go. And he knew he was going to die. He knew he couldn't save the guy. There was no logic in holding on to him because he couldn't save him. Didn't matter. You go, I go. And that's just like, yeah, as you're watching that as a man. So, I mean, remaking Spartacus, absolutely. But here's my one caveat to this. If you do another Spartacus movie, you do a remake of the Kirk Douglas film, not a movie version of the television series. I loved the Spartacus television series. But if you're going to do a Spartacus movie, do it as a remake to the Kirk Douglas. And I'm totally on board. If you get the right cast, right studio, right everything behind it, I'm good. Dennis?
Yeah, I really like the 1960s Spartacus, even though Kubrick kind of disowned it after he did it. I'm fine with either, whether they remake the old version or they do a television version or a movie version of the television series. However, personally, I know not a lot of people saw the TV series. I know you and me really like it.
Yeah.
For my personal reasons, I'd want it to be later on. I don't want to see another Spartacus like next year or 2 years, but maybe 4 or 5 years down the line.
Sure.
Yeah, I've yet to see the TV series, though I've heard it's great. That's on my list of, you know, I'm in the middle of a lot of other TV series right now. But I'm definitely going to check out Spartacus the series. I wouldn't mind seeing a Spartacus remake. I mean, I love the Kirk Douglas Kubrick one. Even though Kubrick disowned it, he basically made it. So, you know, the other director was on set for like a week or whatever. So I'd love to see a new remake and just to refresh people of the story, you know.
And I got to correct myself. I think I said the line from Backdraft was "You go, I go," and that is not the line. I'll get crucified in the comment sections if I don't correct myself. It was "You go, we go." I believe that was the actual correct line. Anyway, what's next?
David Small writes, I always wondered how the third movie in the Dark Knight trilogy would have been had Heath Ledger had lived. Do you think The Dark Knight Rises would have been the same? Would the Joker have had a role in it and maybe introduced Harley Quinn? Keep up the good work.
As we hear conflicting stories about what Nolan's plans were for the next film. I believe for a lot of things, and this stays true with a lot of the way Nolan handles things, I think Nolan didn't have a solid idea what he was going to do with the third film by the time he finished the second film. I really don't. I think he likes to keep his creative process very fresh, and then he likes to start when he starts and end when he ends. Now, there are some stories people, no, Nolan said once that this, and this, that no, wasn't going to use Heath Ledger again even if Ledger was alive. Then other people point to other sources saying, no, Nolan said that he was going to go back and use him. I have a hard time believing that after the performance Heath Ledger gave us as the Joker, and how monumentally successful The Dark Knight was, and how good everybody in it was, that Warner Brothers wouldn't have applied some pressure to Nolan. If Nolan himself didn't already want to do it, would have applied at least some pressure to say, we got to continue the story of the Joker. I have to believe that had Heath Ledger not tragically left this world when he did, I have to believe that the third Batman film would have been a different film. I think it would have had Heath Ledger, whether he was the feature villain or a secondary one, I'm not sure. I have to believe he would have been there. So, to the best of my best guess, we would have seen more Heath Ledger as the Joker. Dennis?
Yeah, I think he would have at least been a cameo or maybe a side character. I don't know about being the main villain, because, you know, we just had him as the main villain in The Dark Knight. I was reading about the novelization of The Dark Knight Rises, and I guess in that version, the Joker is in Arkham, but he's like the sole inmate there. I guess all the prisoners went to Blackgate. But Joker was the only one left in Arkham. So maybe we would have seen something like that.
That would have been cool. Schnapp?
Yeah, I've read from several accounts that Leonardo DiCaprio was approached to play the Riddler, and he was going to work in tandem with the Joker in jail. And that was kind of like a really early thing before Heath Ledger died. They were like, we're going to use the Riddler. That was kind of the moving forward. It was never Bane. Bane was like an afterthought after, you know, the Joker was gone. Because I think the Joker was going to have a very strong presence in the third movie. So, I mean, we'll never know, but eventually one of us can unearth that script or the David Goyer's strange three-page plot synopsis, you know.
I think one of the interesting things about this question is asking, like, if we had Heath Ledger back, was there a possibility we could have seen a Harley Quinn show up at some point? Harley Quinn is a ridiculously popular character. Actually, we were at Kamikaze recently, right? And I could not believe how much cosplay Harley Quinn there was.
Yeah.
And Kamikaze, while growing, is nowhere near the size of Comic-Con. Yeah. And there was a lot of Harley Quinns walking around. I got to say this, though. I don't think, knowing the way Nolan was approaching Batman, I don't think there was really any chance that he was ever going to use a Harley Quinn.
He would have used Dr. Quinn.
Yeah, he may have done that.
As the psychiatrist who was interviewing, you know, so there would be that flavor, a little nod for fans, but it wouldn't be like her, hey, pump pudding. You know,
yeah, because that's a different, he had a different tone. That's the reason he never wanted Robin, he never wanted Superman, he didn't want, like, Harley Quinn is such a cool character in the video game, such a cool character in the cartoons and on the comic book page, but in a Christopher Nolan film, hey, Mr. J, it would not have flown.
She would have fit perfectly in the Tim Burton Batman.
She would have been, absolutely a great fit, or in Batman and Robin. She would
Let's not talk about that movie.
No, but I don't think so. And whether we could see a Harley Quinn moving forward really depends a lot on Batman Superman. And once we see the tone they're setting, because I'll tell you right now, I don't think a Harley Quinn, the way we know and love Harley Quinn, I don't think that Harley Quinn fits in Man of Steel. No. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But while we're on the topic of Harley Quinn, you might have noticed I've got this AMC V-neck, very comfortable shirt. It's like soft like a baby's bottom. And we want to give a couple of these away. So here's a little thing we're going to do. It's kind of fun, maybe a little cruel. But we're going to give a few of these AMC shirts away. And here's what you can do to get your hands on one of these AMC shirts. We're going to give 3 away. We're going to give away 3. And here's what we want you to do. Hop on Twitter and make sure you use the hashtag AMC Movie Talk. Use the hashtag in your tweet, AMC Movie Talk. And what we want you to tweet is a picture of you in your best Harley Quinn makeup. Doesn't matter if you're a dude or if you're a girl, whatever, tweet us a picture of your best Harley Quinn makeup face, and we're going to pick 3 and send you guys out AMC shirts. So hop on Twitter, hashtag AMC Movie Talk, tweet us the pics, and we're going to pick out 3 winners. All right, what's next?
I think, John, you should do the Harley Quinn makeup and tweet out your pick first so everyone can follow you.
I will absolutely do that. I will absolutely do that.
Step up the game.
All of us will do it.
We should all do it.
Right, Dennis?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Elliot RS writes, it is well known that Hunger Games director Gary Ross left production for Catching Fire because the studio didn't want to give him the time he requested. With Catching Fire breaking box office records, did this prove the point that a film can indeed be fast-tracked to release and still result as a terrific finished product? I.e. Star Wars Episode 7 really doesn't need a 2016 release date? Or was this a unique case in that the film was already an existing defined story?
Dennis, you want to start us off on this one?
I don't believe that it proves anything. It just means that in this particular case it worked. And I respect Gary Ross. If he feels like, as a director, he didn't have enough time, then I think given who he is and that he's an established director, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean another director can't come in with the same given timeline and do a fantastic job. Directors work differently, you know. Some people want to, you know, work through the script more, and some people don't. And it, for a franchise like the Hunger Games, yeah, the reason why it could do that is because that the machine is already in place. It's like these Marvel movies. Why there's so many Marvel movies coming out? They have all the marketing team. They have all these things set in place, and so Hunger Games: Catching Fire could do that. The reason why Star Wars can't do that is because they haven't made a movie since, when was the last movie?
2005, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and it's a whole different production now. It's not George Lucas, it's J.J. Abrams, and they're almost like starting from scratch. So I think that's why that's a situation where you can't just fast track it.
Schnapp?
Well, I would compare like Francis Lawrence, who did this sequel, to Brett Ratner, who came on when Matthew Vaughn left.
Right.
The X-Men. Because he said...
when Bryan Singer left.
Well, Matthew Vaughn...
oh, yeah, it was originally going to do X-Men 3. He departed, right.
Yeah, so yeah, Matthew Vaughn was going to do X-Men 3, and he felt pressured because of the limited time, so he left. Brett Ratner came in and executed the job, but a lot of us don't feel like X-Men 3 was all that, especially compared to X-Men 2, which is still one of the best X-Men movies, to me. You know, Catching Fire, Francis Lawrence is used to working like, hey, I got to do a music video, I got to pop these visuals out, what's the next setup? Let's do 80 setups in a day. So he's a monster, and bring him an incredible script, and amazing producers, great cast. We get an incredible film like this. So I think it all depends on who the director is, and there's nothing wrong with Gary Ross saying, yeah, I agree. You know, hey, I can't do this, but other people could step in, and they got the right guy. So
yeah, it's all about style, and I think the key thing here is I don't know that it breaking box office records proves that you can fast track. I believe the fact that it was an amazing film, a really high quality film. But I also hesitate to say that Catching Fire was fast tracked. I mean, at some point, somebody started to believe that doing a film in 2 years was rushing. And it's not. It's just not. There's this fairy tale make-believe world that there were people see anything short of 30 months as being fast-tracked and rushed. No. If a script is done, and it, you know, we go all types of analogies about how fast you can do a script, you know, whether good or bad, whatever, but these are all professionals who do this for a living. They know how to create their films and do their jobs, from the gaffers to the lighting people to everything. People know how to do their jobs. And yeah, you don't want to do it in 5 months, but they didn't fast track it. But I think, Dennis, you hit on it exactly. I think it all depends on the style of director. Some directors' styles will require them to do things at a different pace and take a little bit longer. Nothing wrong with that. And if Gary Ross knew that for me to do my best work, I need this amount of time, then he should have walked off. And I think it's good that he did. Lawrence can go in and say, hey, look, if you give me too much time, I'm going to overthink it and ruin it. This is my type of window. Then great. And then we get this type of a movie. So, yeah, films don't need 3 years to get made, or else they're rushed. So I don't know where that's coming from. Listen, folks, before we get into more mailbag questions, I want to remind you all that the new Jason Statham film, Homefront, is now open in AMC theaters everywhere. Now, recently, our very own returning Chris Lee Kennedy had a chance to go and sit down and talk with the cast of the film, and we want to share you a little snippet of her conversation with Jason Statham and his co-star in the film, Isabella Vikovic. Take a look.
First of all, you were amazing.
Thank you.
How much preparation did you have to do for the fight? Because that, to me, it was so much fun to watch. You had fun doing it.
I did. I think probably, the very beginning of that shooting day, and then throughout, there was tweaks and stuff. But I'd just say, even throughout that whole day during that scene, it was just working on it and working on it and working on it.
and fun, and now no one will mess with you ever again.
No, it's
never
not gonna happen.
I like that. And one of the things I loved about this film for you was I loved the bank job because we saw you as a father. And it was nice to see you as a way more nurturing father here. Like, we got to see a totally different side of you this time.
That's right.
I like it.
It's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that film. It's like, yeah, I did play a dad.
You were a dad.
It was an unpresent father, wasn't it? It was, but yeah, this is a whole new sort of angle for me for that, for being like the nurturing dad. Yeah, the guy who has to, put everything in front of himself.
And I'm usually waiting for the car chases because I tell people you taught me how to drive all the time because I like to think I'm you when I'm in a car. But this time we get to see you horseback riding and like really just I loved it because I love you as an action star. But this part of it was really nice, and I think for viewers it's going to be such a pleasant surprise.
Look at that, me on a horse.
The softer side. I liked it.
You did. I'm glad you said that because it's either one way or the other. It's either terrible or it's not.
You had to have a lot of fun making this movie as well. I mean, the locations were beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Louisiana several times. I think it was my 4th or 5th movie down there. But I love going back down there. It's great. The people are good. It's an easy place to get around. It's it's not like LA, believe me.
Nothing like LA.
Yeah.
I have to ask, where's the cat? Did the cat make it?
The cat.
Because I was really worried about the cat.
We had like 4 or 5 of those things that all looked the same because one wouldn't behave. Get the next one in.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, there was one that didn't like me, and she was a girl, and like I was sitting in the car, and she would just scratch me. She would just keep scratching me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really painful. And then they would take her out, and the other cat, and they would purr. So it kind of depended on the cat too.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretentious cat. It had a stunt double. So bring it in the double.
Yeah,
but it's
really
a cat.
got tired.
It was the most high maintenance person on set, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
his own trailer and everything. It's ridiculous.
Why will AMC theater audiences love Homefront?
You know what? I think it rings every bell. It's a great drama. It's got great sort of comedy and sweetness, and it's got suspense. It's a great thriller, and it rings the bell with great action. I think it has everything. It's a bit for everybody.
Well, thank you guys so much. We can't wait to have it on our screens.
Sweet.
Don't forget, Homefront is playing now in AMC theaters everywhere. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com right now for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Good job, Crystal Lee.
Thank you.
What's next?
Isaiah Dennis writes, hey guys, love the show. My question is, what role do you think Galvatron will play in Transformers Age of Extinction? Do you think he will be in a cameo or he'll be featured in the main storyline? Transform and roll out.
All right, well, let's be really clear here. As far as I know, right now there hasn't been any official confirmation that the big G, Galvatron, is going to be in the next film. Now, we did a story a little while ago about how there was, I think it was Hasbro put out a toy lineup for the new movie, and there's like 70 Transformers named, but one of the names on that list was a Galvatron toy. Now that's made all of us stand up and go, Galvatron, and be really excited. But remember, that's not a confirmation that he's there. It would make sense that he's there. For those of you who, actually talked to girls when you were teenagers, unlike me, who don't know who Galvatron is, Galvatron is actually Megatron. Megatron lost a big fight to Optimus Prime, in which Optimus Prime also died. And in the escape, he got jettisoned out of the escape pod because they said he was dead weight. He was dying anyway. Then Unicron, the planet-eating Transformer, comes along, takes him, remakes him into his key minion, Galvatron, and gave him his whole bunch of other minions. And now he's a more powerful, bigger, different kind of looking dude. I lost a lot of you like 30 seconds ago. But trust me, Galvatron is pretty damn cool. And I believe he was voiced by Leonard Nimoy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
In the original Transformers movie. So Galvatron is a very cool dude, just Megatron reincarnated. And Age of Extinction. I've always made the association, because the Dinobots are going to be in this movie, right? Well, dinosaurs, extinction, maybe that's Age of Extinction. What if, I'm going to go out, I've always said I don't think Unicron would appear in a live-action Transformers movie. It's just, how do you fight a planet-sized thing? But what if Unicron does get the corpse of Megatron, turn him into Galvatron, and Age of Extinction is not a reference to the Dinobots, but a reference to Earth itself, because Unicron is a-coming. I mean, I'm just theorizing. I have no idea if that's right or not. But
is Unicron like a giant planet-eating thing?
Yes. Big planet-eating planet who also transforms into a...
Yeah, we were talking about that. They should just have
robot.
each other, like the giant planets fighting each other.
Yeah.
Like in the ending.
So I don't know. Dennis, what direction do you think they're going to go?
I don't know what direction they're going to go, but I would love them to kind of honor the animated movie, because out of all the Transformers things, that animated movie is my favorite. That battle sequence when Optimus Prime comes down to Earth to save the Autobots and fight Megatron is like one of my favorites. So I'm hoping they do the same thing. I think they bring Unicron into it. They have him revive Megatron's body, though Megatron's body in the animated movie wasn't quite as messed up
as it is now.
Yes, this one's like, is he like beheaded or something?
Oh yeah, he's scrap metal. Right
Yeah,
now.
so they'll have to explain that one a little bit. Or maybe they'll just gloss over it. So I'm hoping they do that. I do remember that Leonard Nimoy was the voice for Galvatron. That's kind of why they brought him into the
last Transformers.
Yeah,
film.
last but they couldn't afford him for the TV series. So when the TV series came back, they pretended that his voice got all really high because of the lava pit that he fell into.
Right. All right, what's next?
Ariel Adams writes, greetings, Sons of AMC. My following question is about Donnie Yen. He is such a huge international action star. How come we haven't seen him starring in a big box office Hollywood movie?
Donnie Yen simply rules. I mean, he simply rules. I remember when I went to see Blade 2 and Donnie Yen came on screen. I'm like, whoa, Donnie Yen's in this? How do we not know that he was in this? If you haven't seen Hero, where he's playing, I'm trying to think of more Western-friendly film.
As well. It's my favorite.
That is his big international breakout, was Ip Man. And I can't remember if he was in Ip Man 2. I haven't seen Ip Man 2.
He's in Ip Man 2.
Okay, I didn't see Ip Man 2. The dude is just awesome. He's really he's a handsome dude, too. One of the things that you'd be tempted to say is a reason why he hasn't gotten a big breakout role is the language barrier. You know, Jackie Chan has a really tough time with the language. Jet Li has an almost impossible time.
It really is. I would not say just tempted. I would go full on and say that's probably a really big reason.
Yeah, probably a huge reason. But Donnie Yen speaks perfect English, and sometimes when he really tries, even without an accent. So I mean. Look, it's well documented on the show. We've talked about it before. There are very few roles being offered to Asian Americans at all, let alone like international Asian stars. Why not? I don't know. It's become kind of a joke that whenever there's an Asian lead movie, we just instantly think Jackie Chan. And in the absence of Jackie Chan, maybe Jet Li. Well, guess what? There are other international superstars out there. And Donnie Yen is, make no mistake, he may not be a household name here. Donnie Yen is an international superstar, and he's a good actor. He does remarkable action. He's incredible. I'd be first in line to see a North American film with Donnie Yen in the lead. That's just me. Schnapp?
I've always wondered why isn't Donnie Yen a bigger action star here? I mean, because he's an incredible action star.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just not
really
here.
Is, yeah.
It's like when you said, just check out any of the films that you can get on video, because you're not going to see him here yet until somebody hires him to be in an action film. I mean, I think wasn't he in Expendables for like 3 seconds or something like that?
I heard he was offered a role in Expendables 2, but he turned it down.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he's not in Expendables 2. I thought for a second, no, he's not. So.
Dennis?
Yeah, I think he's been part of some fantastic martial arts sequences. The ending fight with Jet Li in Once Upon a Time in China 2 is like one of my favorites. He was in Iron Monkey, which was awesome.
I forgot he was in Iron Monkey.
Yeah,
he is the Iron Monkey.
Yeah,
I think he's fantastic. I think he kind of missed his window. There was that window of time towards, like, I think the late 90s, early 2000s, when they were interested in bringing these Asian stars from Hong Kong and Taiwan and stuff. You had Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You had Jackie Chan. They were like re-releasing his old movies under English
and that's
names.
how Iron Monkey got into the theaters too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon 4. So I think at that time, Chow Yun-fat as well.
Yeah.
I think there was that period of time where they were bringing them over. He just happened not to, I guess, be quite as big back then, if I remember correctly. And so he wasn't brought over into that. And now, I don't know. I mean, I wish he was a big star and they would put him in a lot of stuff. But I think, you know how Hollywood is, they always do trends. So right now, there is no martial arts trend right now.
And speaking of windows, there's another window that's closing. And I believe there still is a window for possibility here, but Donnie is now in his 50s. So the window is closing. I mean, we can't launch him as an action star starting at 60. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen soon. All right, what's next?
Matt Hill writes, hey guys and girls of AMC Movie Talk from England.
Ooh.
Love the show, watch it every day. To my question, with the recent box office success of The Avengers, Iron Man 3, and Thor the Dark World, The Dark Knight trilogy, and Man of Steel, got me thinking, how long left do you feel that the comic book movies will be popular with the mainstream audiences? Do you think there will come a time where we will never see a comic book movie come out? I really hope not. I feel that it's thanks to the first X-Men film that comic book movies are as popular as they are. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
The question comes up a lot, and it's a fair question, because there was another age of comic book movies that came to a screeching halt with the aforementioned Batman and Robin. That big blockbuster comic book film that was so horrendously terrible, it killed the comic book genre. We didn't have another comic book movie for a number of years. And it really wasn't until X-Men, resurrected the whole comic book genre that we saw comic books get moving again. And I said for a while, there was a period of time where I said, look, comic book movies are hot, but we are just one Batman and Robin away from this era ending. But there have been so many consistently good comic book films now. I think the comic book movie genre can survive a Batman and Robin right now. Actually, I think you can probably survive 2 or 3, maybe not 3. But if you had like one really bad bomb of a huge blockbuster comic book movie and it just bombed, I think you can survive that. 2 in a row might be getting shaky. 3, I think it ends it all. So, I mean, there's that whole thing to keep in consideration as well, is that I think it can survive it. Look, none of us ever asked the question, how much longer can they make cop movies? Forever. How much longer can they make movies about murder? Whatever. It's a genre. It can go on indefinitely if they keep having success. And if we do have 3 bombs in a row, then we'll have 3 or 4 years with no comic book movies, and then somebody will try it again, and if they do it right, it'll start a new era. But things are going pretty strong right now, Jeanette.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, though Batman and Robin that was a franchise killer for Batman, the very next year, Blade came out, which was the rebirth of what Marvel could be. Because remember, DC was just hammering Marvel for years. Mm-hmm. There's Superman, there was Batman. Where's your Marvel movie? Where's your Spider-Man movie? Nothing. Nothing in the 90s. There might have been that Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. That's it. That's all you got. I mean, I'm saying is there were no Marvel movies. Everything was like in development and falling apart. Well,
constantly. David Hasselhoff was Nick Fury. I mean, let's not forget that.
The true Nick Fury.
The true Nick Fury.
Was that in the 90s? I think that was in like 2000.
Was it?
Yeah.
For some reason, my head is with the 90s.
But so Blade was like the following year, and that was all of a sudden like a bulb went off, and I was like, what's up with that Marvel stuff? Then X-Men was in production. I believe that came out the following year in 2000. And that kind of and no one thought X-Men would be a hit. They were like, yeah, whatever, mutants, get out of here. It was really kind of like a lower budgeted, not just kind of a shake-off film, to be honest with you, when it came out, when was the perception of what X-Men was by studios and by the general public. No one knew who Wolverine was. I mean, that's just the facts. That launched Marvel and created this entire empire of, I think if Marvel all of a sudden for some weird reason released like 3 bombs in a row, I really doubt that would affect. I mean, if like Iron Man 4 just totally sucks, and
then, financially bombs,
and financially bombs, and then Ant-Man is horrible. I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm saying like if for some reason these films just don't hit it with the audience and are critically like, wow, that was a waste, I still don't think that will collapse Marvel. I think they'll be like, well, look, we've also got Captain America, we've got you've got Sony Spider-Man, you have X-Men, Fantastic Four, all these chances that are going to be constantly hitting us for the next several years non-stop. So even if we have 1 or 2 films that don't hit the mark with the public and with the critics, it won't affect Marvel. DC, on the other hand, they don't have that ability to release many films at the same time because they haven't distributed their films to other companies. So they're locked in. They've got Man of Steel 2, Batman vs. Superman, whatever they're going to call it, that's coming out. And we don't know what else is coming out. And that's years. Yeah. Like we were talking about, like how many years is it going to take you guys to like get a couple of movies out? It's like put them on, not even fast track them, just put them on a track. I just want some track, a train track. Put Wonder Woman and Flash is moving really slowly towards 2018. Just announce it because it's silly.
I got to disagree with you though about I think if Marvel produces 3 financial bombs in a row, yeah, they still have other characters they can go to, but Walt Disney is not in the business of funding money-losing propositions. I think if we see Marvel put out 3 money-losing films in a row, Disney's going to say, we're going to put on the brakes.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath.
That will never happen.
Oh, no, I don't think it would happen. But if it did,
it can't.
Disney would say, we're putting on the brakes.
And we'd be like, take off your alternate universe. Like, now I'm in another universe of weird suckness.
Yeah.
Yes, all the Marvel movies suck. What? Yeah, I'm coming back to my,
Dennis.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be such an abrupt halt. There is definitely going to be a peak of the comic book genre, and we may be in it right now. Maybe it'll be next year. It's going to be more of a slow fade. We had like how many, 4 or 5 big comic book movies this year? I mean, not counting like small ones like R.I.P.D. or something like that. I think eventually, we'll start seeing like maybe only 3 big ones or 2, and it'll depend on the financial success, and maybe people will get tired of them, and you'll start to see the box office return slowly dwindle. But I don't know. I don't know if like one movie can just like destroy the whole genre.
Not at this point.
Yeah, I think the whole genre is has a much better foundation now than it did back when Batman and Robin came out.
Yeah,
when Batman and Robin came out, it was like, well, whatever, But now it's like all these people like myself and people older and even younger now that are growing up on comic books and respect comic books, because that was the thing before when comic book movies came out. A lot of the people that were going to see movies didn't read comic books, didn't care about comic books, and quite frankly thought comic books were dumb. So I think this new generation is going to keep it going.
And I also think there's always the people who are like the doomsayers. Like I remember reading like in 2002, a couple of comic book writers were like, the superhero films are all going to be done and over with in 2005.
Every year.
Every year.
But
it's always like,
it's almost done. The comic book movie trend is almost done. They've been saying that for like 15 years.
Right, and what happens? It just keeps multiplying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2015, 2016, there's going to be like 15, 20 comic book movies. I don't think it's going to stop, thankfully.
What's our last question of the day?
I'm probably going to butcher your name, so I apologize in advance, but Eric Esquivel writes, "Hey AMC, my question is about Steven Spielberg's film adaptation of Robopocalypse. I heard a while back that it was going to come out sometime after Lincoln, but haven't heard anything since. So, is the movie still going to be made, or has Spielberg completely given up on making it?"
It wasn't just Spielberg. I mean, Spielberg was on to make Robopocalypse, and Anne Hathaway then came on board, and that got some big publicity, and then Chris Hemsworth came on board, so you had a great starting cast there. And then sometime around the beginning of the year, Spielberg just said, nope, not anymore. I'm putting on hiatus for like 8 months, but then 8 months turned into indefinitely. Now, there were rumors going around that Spielberg couldn't get the budget he wanted to make it. And that he just kind of abandoned it. Now we hear Spielberg talking about other projects he's doing. My best guess right now is that Robopocalypse, as directed by Steven Spielberg, is no longer on the books. If that's the case, and I say that's a big if that is the case, I don't know what the status of the film then becomes, because I'm sure Anne Hathaway and Chris Hemsworth coming on board for that film, Spielberg directing it was probably one of the big draws for them, and if he's off it, what does that do to them? What's the whole status of Robopocalypse? As of right now, I haven't heard anything happening with it. I almost think it's safe to assume at this point it's done until they decide to restart the project again, maybe sometime next year. I don't know, but as far as I know, Spielberg's off it, and the whole project's ground to a halt. Dennis, have you heard anything?
I haven't heard too much. I know they put it on hold in January, and I think the rumors were budget and script issues. Like Spielberg had wanted to work more on the script.
Which was connected to the budget issue.
Yeah, and he couldn't get the budget he wanted, and I haven't heard anything since. I just assume he's off of it. I mean, I don't think he's going to wait around that long for this movie, and I assume Hemsworth and Hathaway, if Spielberg's off, they're going to be gone as well. I just think it brings a more interesting subject, which is a director of Steven Spielberg's caliber. I mean, can't get the budgets that he wants. It's crazy, because like Lincoln, he talks about how Lincoln was almost an HBO movie.
Oh, he tried for like 6 years getting that.
So you can't get Steven Spielberg with Daniel Day-Lewis as the lead actor for a movie and get the decent budget, and it made money. Yeah. Like Spielberg is practically box office gold. So I just find it a little strange that someone like him is having a hard time getting the budgets that he wants.
And again, it does bring up the issue of what do we define as a decent budget? Because he got a decent budget for Lincoln. It was a decently budgeted movie. And Robopocalypse, I can't even imagine what that would cost to make. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
I don't know what he was asked. Maybe he was asked for $350 million. Right. I need $350 million or I walk. And they were like, we don't have $350 million. I'm walking. I mean, my guess is he'll come back on in some form of like as an executive producer for Robopocalypse, and he'll just get a younger director who's cheaper, and they can make the film for the budget that they wanted to. And I mean, that would be my guess. Or he's just going to walk completely. You know, I don't see the movie getting made the way, you know, with Spielberg directing, with Anne Hathaway. That's one of those things that's announced, and then when it collapses like it did, all the stars just move on to other projects. He's moving on to other directing jobs, and you know, the people who are the rights holders of Robopocalypse are like, what happened?
Yeah.
We were doing this. No, not anymore.
Yeah, welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah. Hi, goodbye. Yeah.
All right, folks, listen, that will do it for us. We've gone over time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. A couple things to remind you about. Once again, hop on Twitter. If you want one of these AMC shirts, hop on over to Twitter, hashtag AMC Movie Talk, and tweet us your picture in your best Harley Quinn makeup. I think that's going to be awesome. I want to thank, first of all, sitting to my immediate right, production manager of AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro.
And to his right, writer-director, AMC Movie News, film commentator, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
People can find me at Twitter, at John Schnepp, and Instagram, John Schnepp. And check out from Thanksgiving, Feed Unicron, the Unicorn Barbarian, my Kickstarter. He needs some help, man. Let's make it happen.
And, of course, our lovely host today, Miss Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Lee, and thank you guys so much for all your love and support while I was gone last week. It meant a lot to me.
And you can find me on the various social media networks at Facebook, just at John Campea. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Truly, we hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Once again, don't forget, no AMC Movie Talk Thursday, Friday, no mailbag on Saturday, Sunday. We will be back triumphant on Monday, and we're looking forward to being back, and we're looking forward to having you back again with us. So once again, my name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. Until next week, happy Thanksgiving, and bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.